Hello everybody and welcome to another video of Green Square Talks Battlebots, and this is the first video of something new I've decided to do for this season that I did not do last season. So basically what I'm planning to do podcast wise for this season is for each episode I plan to come out with a solo podcast. You won't see any co-hosts on podcasts like these where ex- I'll simply go through each fight one by one and try to predict the outcome and share my prediction for the episode and stuff. And then the other thing that I'll be doing for each episode is simply the same thing as last season, where some co-hosts and I will review the episode. We'll go through each fight one by one, share lots of our opinions and thoughts on it, and other predictions going forward and stuff, similar to what we were doing last season. All right, so yeah, this should be an interesting one here as we got the first fight card coming this Thursday, and I want to say that always the hardest fight cards to predict are always the first few, primarily because even though we've seen several of these robots here last season, we haven't seen them in action this season. And so we don't know how well lots of their design changes and stuff worked in terms of performing in the arena and stuff. So that makes things very complicated, as well as newcomers, as we do have some newcomers in here or some robots with their first televised fight and stuff. So well, at least in terms of the main competition, not counting bounty hunters, because, yeah, you get the idea. So, all right, so basically, kind of like the objective, as I've kind of mentioned here, is I'm planning to go through each of these fights one by one, gonna talk about each of the robots, share who I think would win this fight, and potentially share what I think the outcome of the fight might be like and stuff. So, yeah. And so, yeah, feel free to comment below what your predictions are for this, as I completely respect that you're probably going to disagree with at least one of these 8 fights on here. And yeah, hopefully you'll respect my predictions too, because there's several of these fights where, well, I should really say all of them, where you can make a serious argument for why the other robot will win the fight and stuff. And I completely respect that. I completely support that and I completely know that and stuff too. Because I first want to say I'm not confident with any of my predictions on this fight card. Because, like I said before, or even though we've seen a lot of these robots in past seasons, their performance could be completely different from last season. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get started here. So yeah, looking at this first fight card here, ever since Battlebots showed this one for supporters, at least a non-revised version, which was everything except for the YouTube exclusive fight, which, yeah, Battlebots showed that off today, and I gotta say, I'm a little confused on what that thing is used for exactly. What it sounds like is like if you have the season like on YouTube, the fight will be included there. The other thing that it kind of sounds like is BattleBots is going to post that onto their YouTube channel or reveal it for BattleBot supporters on Facebook on Thursday or potential and then reveal it for everybody like on YouTube or Facebook or something like that on Sunday for everyone based off of the post I saw today when I recorded this. So, yeah, what's probably going to happen is it's something where I'm going to completely understand it like the day it gets released like for everybody pretty much just after this first week if you kind of get what I'm saying by that. All right, enough with that. Let's go ahead and get to the first fight where we got Sawblaze and Minotaur here. Two really big names. And I got two things I want to say before I share my prediction of the outcome. The first thing is, I am so glad to see Minotaur back. Minotaur has always been like my number one favorite robot, and yeah, it makes me so happy to get to see Minotaur back once again. Like even after the tragedies that Daniel Freitas has gone through lately, it's one of the reasons why I believe, like, along with Minotaur just being a beast, like, especially after they got their drum spinner working in 2019 and stuff, like, I think Minotaur is my prediction to win it all as of right now, but that could easily change, mostly because we haven't seen Minotaur in action yet, and we haven't seen them since 2019. Their opponent is Sawblaze here. Here, Sawblaze made some design changes. I see an extra fork up the middle and stuff. I wonder, yeah, and then I know Sawblaze made some frame changes as well as some internal changes and stuff. They've been slowly revealing some of those on social media, like on Facebook primarily is the big one where I've been reading lots of those, but I think they also did the same thing on Instagram too. But yeah, and the second thing I want to say is that out of all 8 fights here, this is the fight I am the least confident with in terms of my prediction because both of these robots are forces to be reckoned with and stuff. But yeah, so my prediction for this fight is going to be Minotaur for this one. I'm going with my favorite robot of all time, as well as my first pick in the King of Draft fantasy tournament and stuff, which is something that I do with several of my friends on a Discord server I'm in, and so on. So, yeah. Alright, and so how I think this fight will go is, like I said before, this is my least confident pick of the entire fight card, because one thing that's for sure, I feel like Minotaur's strategy is either going to be Daniel Freitas outdrives Jameson Go and tries to get to the sides or the backside. Or what I think is way more likely to happen, Minotaur is going to try to bend the forks on the front of Sawblaze, which will probably require a similar driving tactic that Aaron Hill used to get underneath Sawblaze when those two fought last season. Because as much as I believe that, I personally don't think Minotaur is going to win the ground game against Sawblaze. Like Sawblaze proved last season to be one of the lowest of the ground robots, and I would predict the same thing is probably going to happen this season, and yeah. So what I think is going to happen here is because I feel like Jameson Go's also a really good driver, and I think he's going to do a good job at keeping Minotaur from getting to the sides of the backside. I think what's going to happen is it's going to depend on can Minotaur bend those forks, because if Minotaur can bend the forks, similar to how they bent Bronco's flipper in 2016, and similar to what they did to Hydra in order to annihilate that thing in 30 seconds in 2019, like I think, yeah, because I think if Minotaur can bend the forks, I think they've got this one because Sawblaze will lose the advantage of the ground game and they'll have a much harder time getting underneath Minotaur. But if Sawblaze starts getting underneath Minotaur and starts striking with that hammer saw, like, who knows how long Minotaur could last. And yeah, I'd be really nervous for Minotaur if something like that was to happen and stuff. So, yeah. So yeah, like I said, I really could see this fight going either way. My prediction is going to be Minotaur, but there are some serious arguments that I've talked about here for why Sawblaze could win this fight, and yeah. So yeah, my prediction will be Minotaur. Let's go ahead and get on to the second fight, where we get Uppercut and Gigabyte here. Alright, so both of these robots finished in the top 16 last season, with Gigabyte bowing out against the top-seeded Hydra, and then Uppercut bowed out after they were delivering a beating to Ribot, but then unfortunately lost drive on one side and was counted out and stuff, so. Alright, so then, yeah, this is going to be a battle of some really hard hitters because Uppercut has a really nasty vertical bar spinner, and Gigabyte's full body spinner has proven to have a lot of power themselves and stuff. So this is definitely another really hard one to call. But what I feel like is going to happen here is I feel like Gigabyte's strategy is probably going to be to take advantage of Uppercut's gyroscopic forces. Because if Uppercut turns and stuff, we've noticed pretty well that Uppercut will swerve up into the air a little bit. And Gigabyte might want to try to take advantage of that and try to get to like the wheels or something like that. But I feel like that's going to be pretty difficult for Gigabyte, and I feel like we're way more likely to see a bunch of major weapon on weapon shots between those two robots, which will be so much fun to see. Like, yeah, I'm really hyped for this fight as well. As for my prediction, I'm planning to predict Uppercut for this one because I feel like what's going to happen is I feel like we're going to see a bunch of weapon on weapon collisions, but I think Uppercut, unless if it breaks down like in the internal side, because Gigabyte is also a really hard hitter. I feel like Uppercut's likely to win a majority of these weapon-on-weapon exchanges between these two robots, and I think that's going to lead Uppercut to victory in this one. I'm going to predict Uppercut by a knockout here. All right, so next up, we got fight number 3, where we got Switchback and Gruff, and Gruff was my 5th round pick and out of 6 in my King of Draft fantasy tournament results and stuff. So yeah, I'm super hyped for Gruff for this season. Like Gruff might not have performed as well as it did in like 2019 and stuff, because like we did see them get a few victories in Bounty Hunters as well as a victory over Hypershock, but they did have some serious drivetrain issues, especially in like the Extinguisher and the Bloodsport battles. But I'm pretty sure I've heard from the team like that they learned a lot about that drive system that they used last season and was able to improve on it and make it a lot more reliable for this season, which yeah, I hope that's all accurate and stuff. Feel free to fact check that, Sam, in the comment section if you got anything else you'd want to mention on that. But yeah, this is also a really hard one to call because their opponent is the only robot here that wasn't that wasn't involved in a past season of Battlebots. We got Switchback, a newcomer, with that drum spinner there that can basically they got the drum spinner on an arm. It can attack from the front, it can attack from the other side, and so on, and they can use it to self-right. This one's another one. This is another really hard one to predict because like we haven't seen Switchback in action yet. Like Switchback hasn't been in the battle box so far, but like we've seen some test videos on it because Switchback has posted some of those on social media, and like so lots of the test videos that I've seen have shown that that drum spinner has a lot of power to it. I feel like it could definitely I feel like it could definitely do some serious damage on Gruff. But then it also gyros too, is something else that I've seen, and so on. So they have proven they can self-right through those test videos too. So if Gruff manages to get a flip, it looks like they should be able to self-right as long as the arm is working on that thing. And yeah, so yeah, Battlebots has also seemed to be hyping up this fight as well as like Switchback too, because we've seen both. So yeah, because I believe there was a clip of this fight in the trailer. Switchback has posted an image or two from this fight as well, and so on. And yeah, there's a lot of hype for this fight. I think this will be an entertaining bout between these two. My prediction is Gruff for this one, mostly because I think Gruff will win on like the control and aggression categories and stuff. And while it seems like Switchback is going to get some hits on Gruff, and so I do have some concern on how badly they could potentially bend Gruff's forks, as well as potentially get some hits on the base and cause some serious damage. But as well as Gruff's flamethrowers, because Gruff proved last season those flamethrowers are lethal, like primarily in bounty hunters, like in the Gemini and the Kraken fight, but we could see Gruff do some serious damage with those flamethrowers for this battle with Switchback. But yeah, I think this will be a really close fight. I'm going to predict a judge's decision that will go in the favor of Gruff for this fight, but I would not be surprised if this fight goes the other way and stuff. I'm going to support my King of Draft pick for this battle, but either way, though, I think this is going to be a really close one. And I'm ready to be surprised, too. Alright, fight number 4, about at the halfway point of this video. We got Captain Shrederator and Tombstone, and well, I did predict that the main event was going to be an early main event. I was predicting Tombstone and Uppercut would be the first main event because we've always seen Tombstone in the main event slot for the first episode and taking on like a monster or robot from the previous season, which is why I was thinking Tombstone and Uppercut and so on. But we got Tombstone here in fight number 4 where they are taking on Captain Shrederator, which this should also be a very challenging matchup, and a robot who really proved they're moving in the right direction as of last season. So yeah, their opponent is Captain Shrederator, where if I remember right, they have a few different weapon configurations for this season and so on. I don't remember exactly. Yeah, I'd have to relook at their Facebook for that because I know they posted a bunch of updates there during the off season. Tombstone, I don't really know a lot of their design changes and stuff. Like just by eyeing it, there's a lot of holes in like the top part of the robot as well as pieces of parts of the weapon too. Makes me wonder if like they made a bunch of changes internally, but I don't know for sure because Tombstone's been a bit quiet on social media in terms of like the design changes. All right. So, in terms of my prediction for this one, I've actually been going back and forth on this one, whether I want to go with Tombstone, the big dog, or if I want to go with the underdog, Captain Shrederator. But when finalizing it, I'm going to go with Tombstone on this one. And why have I been going back and forth on this one? It's because, like, a few of the possible outcomes I see. The first thing being, Captain Shrederator has in a way, Captain Shrederator has the design advantage in this fight. Because if you recall fights like Captain Shrederator versus Rotator, Tombstone versus Gigabyte, Malice versus Gigabyte, if you go on YouTube and see Tombstone versus Megabyte, if Tombstone goes weapon on weapon with a cone-shaped spinner like Captain Shrederator, they're likely going to bounce up into the air and potentially show their wheels and stuff. And if Captain Shrederator was to get a wheel, like Tombstone will lose drive on one side, and they could be counted out similar to how they were in the Scorpios fight, depending on if the ref decides if that's controlled movement that Tombstone will be showing or not, which has been a little inconsistent over the past few seasons, and I hope it gets better for this season, but you never know. But then the other outcome I'm seeing here is Captain Shrederator is still not perfect and stuff. Like, even though they were definitely moving in the right direction last season, they're still not perfect. Because, like, we saw the spinner die early in the fight with Lockjaw and stuff, even though that was kind of a such a small issue on their part. We saw it fall in the Shatter fight. Same thing with the Rotator fight, but Captain Shredder is definitely moving in the right direction and stuff because like their drive is still working and stuff. They didn't like stop moving or anything like that, similar to what we've seen in like past seasons too. And yeah, so I feel like Tombstone's best shot at winning this fight is just going to be keep going weapon on weapon and hope that Captain Shrederator either gets broken down internally by either Tombstone's horizontal spinner or by themselves too, because I think that's going to be Tombstone's shot at winning this fight, and I'm predicting that's just going to happen in this fight. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I think this will be an exciting one, and yeah. All right, let's go to fight number 5 here, where we get the fight that Battlebots has been really hyping up for this one, for this season, and that's free shipping and Blacksmith. And I want to first say that both of these teams took the last season off. I am so looking forward to seeing both of these robots back. Like, I don't see too many design changes other than the color scheme, and and so it makes me think they did some internal changes and stuff towards free shipping. But Blacksmith is one of the robots I've been looking forward to most coming into this season in terms of design changes and improvements and stuff. Because like in the 2016, 18, and 19 season, we're used to Blacksmith coming in with a really cool looking flaming hammer. It might not have done the most damage, but it was quite awesome to see. This season, they have a overhead spinner that also shoots out flames and stuff. Basically like a flaming hammer saw and stuff. Like I I'm really looking forward to seeing how well this goes for Blacksmith and see what kind of damage that spinner can do and stuff because yeah, it should be very exciting to see. But yeah, Battlebots has been hyping this fight up because there's based off of lots of the images shown, and there was a clip in the trailer too. There's gonna be a lot of flames in this fight, and that should be exciting to see. And yeah, I'm hyped for this fight as well. In terms of my prediction, I think this fight is definitely going to go to the judges. I'm very confident on that because both robots have proven their durability throughout the past seasons that they've been here. My prediction is going to be free shipping on this one, but it's another nervous one because I think Blacksmith could definitely win this fight as well, just based off of they have a more damaging weapon between the two robots. But this should definitely be a really close fight, I feel like. And yeah, I feel like this is going to be a really close and really evenly matched fight. But I think Gary Jin, I like Gary Jin's driving ability, and I think using that, I think he's going to lead them to victory in that one. All right, so let's go ahead and get to the next battle, where we have Pain Train and Deep Six, two robots on Porinog's King of Draft list, who is one of the co-hosts. If you don't already know, he'll probably be on the podcast for the first video, but I'm not completely sure on that. All right, so then we got Pain Train and Deep Six here. We got the drum spinner of Pain Train is back after a little bit of a disappointing run. They got one win against Smee last season that some people did find to be controversial and stuff, but and then we got Deep Six, whom we haven't seen since 2019. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing both of these two robots back once again, like design change and improvement wise, because like with Pain Train last season, what if I recall it right, Pain Train was made like in a few months before the season began. And and yeah, the fact that they still got that put together and still got a win and stuff was pretty good, pretty nice on their part and stuff. And if I recall right as well, I think Pain Train did have a lot of trouble with their drive system last season. I heard they fixed that issue for this season and should be able to drive in a straight line. I'm hoping that's accurate. Feel free to say something in the comments, Evan, if you're watching this video and look to fact check it or something like that. But based off of what I've heard, that's what I've been hearing, but it's not exactly confirmed to me. But we'll get to see it in action this Thursday and stuff. So their opponent's Deep Six here, which Deep Six also has a huge design change that I've been looking forward to seeing. What the big design change that Deep Six made for this season, and it's not the only one, because I know they made some internal changes, and then they also made the weapon lighter after they kind of had to after Battlebots changed the weight of the primary weapon rule after what Deep Six did and after some of the stuff Deep Six did in 2019. And but the big one they've been hyping up that I'm hoping we get to see at some point this season of BattleBots is that Deep Six can self-right this year through the torque of their massive vertical spinner. I think I really want to see that happen once in the battle box and stuff. So yeah, how I predict this fight is gonna go. My gut tells me I'm incorrect on this, but this is what I'm predicting for this one. I think this is going to end the quickest out of all the fights here. I think this is going to end in one single weapon on weapon shot that badly damages one or both robots here. And I think Deep Six is going to win it by a knockout on that one hit because I think they're more likely to win a weapon on weapon exchange between these two robots, but it'll still be really exciting and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, my prediction is gonna be Deep Six on a quick knockout, but I think this is gonna be a really exciting fight and stuff. And I'm really looking forward to seeing both of these robots back and seeing what they can do this season compared to the past seasons these two were involved with. All right, so next up, I'm actually going to skip down to the YouTube exclusive fight. We're going to end it with the main event here, where we get a rematch from Battlebots Bounty Hunters. We get Deadlift and Jackpot, where Deadlift did have a really disappointing bout in the main competition. They got a disappointing win over Bale's Spear and then took a loss to Mammoth. But then Bounty Hunters, they really showed their stuff. Because, like, there was in the Ice Wave Bounty where they lost to Ghost Raptor in the first round, but they were dominating like 80% of the fight. And then the Tombstone Bounty, where they also made another appearance. They won against Jackpot, who they are taking on here, and then was dominating the gruff fight until they broke down, and so on. So here we got a rematch between Deadlift and what was my third round pick in my King of Draft fantasy comp and stuff, where we got Jackpot back. And Jackpot was the bot on a budget that that had the biggest Cinderella story, in my opinion, going 3-0 and taking out some pretty big names before dropping one to Rotator and then dropping to one to Deadlift and Bounty Hunters and so on. But yeah, my prediction for this one is going to be Jackpot. I'm going to support my third round pick, but I know Pori's probably going to comment on this one, stating that Deadlift is going to win because I know he's got some really big takes on Deadlift for this season, which I completely support him on. I think they are possible, even though even though I was making fun of him for it on the questionnaire podcast, and I'll probably be making fun of him again on the podcast for this first video and so on, as will he be making fun of me for some of my hot takes that I've made on this season and so on. It'll be fun stuff, but yeah. Why am I picking Jackpot here? My big question is, can Deadlift remove that arm that they got on the top there? Because I feel like Deadlift is going to be much more of a punching bag if they have that arm there. Because because like Deadlift, I feel like is definitely the lower to the ground robot between these two. But I feel like Jackpot's got I feel like with that arm that Deadlift has, that I'm very concerned about here. I feel like Deadlift becomes even more of a target with that. And I feel like if Jackpot can take advantage of that, I think they could definitely win this one. Plus, Jackpot, I think, based off of what I've heard, like, I think Jackpot put some serious money into that new robot for this season and made a bunch of big design changes that they've been hyping up throughout the off season. And I feel like with those design changes, I think Jackpot will be able to pull this one off, and I think they'll get the win by knockout. All right, let's go ahead and get to the last fighter here, where we're gonna go to the second to last one, the main event, where Hydra and Endgame, and this is a fight I've been predicting is going to happen this season, mostly because like if I go to Endgame here, we haven't seen Endgame fight. We've seen Endgame fight vertical spinners, horizontal spinners, a few hammer bots, a few full body spinners, but we haven't seen them fight a big flipper. Like we did see them fight Gruff, a lifter, but we haven't seen them fight a flipper bot like Hydra, Bronco, Lucky, Sub Zero, who I feel like are the big four flippers. But then we got Blip coming as well, so can't count them out of that too, and so on. But yeah, uh, like we haven't seen Endgame fight a big flipper, so I was predicting this fight was going to happen and it was going to be one of the first few main events. Like I was predicting episode 3 main event, but episode 1 main event, like I'm hyped for it either way and so on. Even if we didn't get the first main event that I was originally predicting, which is Tombstone and Uppercut, which I hope we'll get that fight eventually because I would love to see a weapon on weapon shot between those two, but this should definitely be really exciting too. So yeah, and then we got Hydra on the other side, that powerful hydraulics flipper. And we've already seen from a clip on the trailer that Hydra is going to get a flip on Endgame and stuff. But yeah. So basically, my prediction for this fight is going to be Endgame. But this is one where like Civilian Arc, one of the other co-hosts of my podcast. Hopefully he'll be here for the first episode review and stuff. If he's not, that's perfectly cool. He might be hanging out in the Discord server or something like that, similar to what he was doing for the questionnaire, since he wasn't able to show up to that one, but was able to attend it live and was able to put messages in the chat and stuff. But all right, here's and so my prediction is going to be Endgame for this one, but Civilian did bring up a really good point for this one that I would like to take into consideration here and talk about. So, it's like I said before, it's already been revealed Hydra is going to get a flip on Endgame. Like they're going to send Endgame flying up into the air. We don't know if they'll land upright or if they'll land upside down, but if they were to land upside down, it hasn't exactly been proven in the battle box yet whether Endgame Self Rider is going to work for them this time. Because, like, in 2018, they didn't come with a Self Rider, and so they had to rely on their vertical spinner. It helped them a few times, it didn't help them other times. And then the big one in 2019 is the Death Roll fight, where Endgame got flipped over. Their vertical spinner wasn't able to help himself right. their self-rider did not work for them. They weren't able to get right back over and back into the fight. And then in 2020, where they won last season and are now the defending champion, they didn't get flipped even once in that. At least I can remember of. I'm pretty sure the answer is no. They did not get flipped over. I'm like 90% sure on that. But either way, though, it's unproven whether Endgame's self-rider works. So what we could possibly see is Hydra gets that one flip on Endgame, and Endgame could be stuck upside down and could be counted out like that. Because Jake Ewert, unless if he knows that Endgame is motionless, he's not going to come in for another flip. He's just going to take the victory and stuff. Like, we know Jake Ewert's going to be after the giant nut once again last season, similar to how he was last season, where he's going to do whatever it takes and stuff. But yeah. But yeah, how I predict this fight will go, I think yeah, we know Hydra's gonna get the flip on Endgame. I think they'll get a few more and stuff, but I feel like we're gonna see Endgame massacre Hydra, similar to how Minotaur massacred Hydra in 2019. Like, I feel like if Jake Ewert screws up even once in this, which I feel like the odds of that are probably smaller than what they've been in the past, because Jake Ewert proved last season, especially in the huge and the uppercut fight, which yeah, don't at me on the huge one. Like, even though that was a boring victory, Jake Ewert did drive that fight perfectly and stuff. He's a really good driver behind the wheel for Hydra, and I feel like we're gonna see a big driving performance between Jack Barker and Jake Ewert here, and I think whoever wins the driving performance, as well as whoever wins the ground game, because Hydra has proved last season to be one of the lowest of the ground robots, as had Endgame, because I feel like the three robots that had the best ground game last, I'm gonna add four actually. I feel like the four robots with the best ground game last season were Hydra, Whiplash, Endgame, and Sawblaze. Not exactly in that order. I'm not like ranking them from fourth to first because I don't know how I'd rank those four, but I feel like those four robots had the best ground game last season, and I feel like yeah, because I feel like whoever wins the ground game, which it looks like Hydra is going to win it early, but that could very easily change, whether that's by a driving mistake Jake potentially makes or a driving mistake Jack potentially makes. But I feel like whoever gets to the ground game, and if Endgame gets to the sides of Hydra, I think it'll be all over for Hydra, and that's kind of what I'm predicting here. That's kind of what I'm leaning on, and I think Endgame will win that fight by a knockout and so on. All right, so yeah, I'll go ahead and review here where I'm predicting Minotaur, Uppercut, Gruff, Tombstone, Free Shipping, Deep Six, Endgame, and Jackpot will win these fights. Be sure to reply down below with who you think will win these. Like, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Like what prediction changes you have compared to my predictions, and I'd love to hear all your opinions and stuff because like that's kind of like the purpose of why I have co-hosts on my podcast for like the episode reviews because some of us have different opinions for how fights will go and different thoughts on how they think a fight went and stuff, and yeah, it's why I do that stuff. I love to hear all that stuff because it's always nice to hear different opinions from other people and stuff. So yeah, be sure to reply down below with your predictions for this episode. I'm really hyped to see this fight card on Thursday, and I hope you are as well. So yeah, I will thank you for watching this video. Be sure to tune in to the first episode review. I haven't decided whether I'm gonna try to get that done over the weekend or if I'm gonna wait until the bonus fight goes public. I haven't decided yet. Basically, the plan is either I'm either going to do an episode review on either Friday or Saturday and release it like a day after, which will feature the first 7 fights on here. But just in case if people aren't able to see Deadlift or Jackpot until Sunday, I'd leave that fight out. But but if but what I might also do is maybe move it to like recording it on Sunday or Monday and then release it the day after, where Jackpot and Deadlift will go public, assuming that what Battlebots was stating on that bonus fight down there is what I think it is. But either way, though, Oh, I'll have it figured out, and we'll still get a really good video on this episode review out. And yeah, I hope you'll tune in for that episode review when I get it out. And be sure to hit the like and subscribe button on here and subscribe for more, as I plan to do a lot of podcasts on this upcoming season that should be very exciting. And I will hopefully see you next time.